Hey Flex fam, welcome back to another episode of Flex in the City. I'm Rada.
And I'm Lisa, and this is episode 35.
Yeah!
We're getting there.
We gotta pass 38, right?
37 is like the
37
match one. So
to
if we
feel
pass
like-
it, if we get to 38, then we're in the 15% of podcasts that survive the dreaded 37 curse.
Okay.
So
we gotta do it. We gotta do it.
We got it.
And we need your support.
We got this. Or not. We'll still do
it. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. The sun is shining today. The sky is
God.
blue. The trees are green again.
I didn't need a winter jacket coming here, so I was so happy.
So
considering the last time that we recorded, it was like
rain and torrential.
Horrible.
Yeah. No, I'm also glad to see that it was a clear morning.
Yeah.
And also nice weather for your birthday.
Yep. 42.
25 again.
Oh, 25. Okay. 25.
Gonna back you up. You could have gotten away with it.
We talked about this earlier that we are 42. I'm 42. You're turning 43
in 2 days.
And I don't feel that. Like, okay, maybe I might look it or, but I feel 25. Still.
Or even younger.
Like, I still want to be in the clubs dancing and,
Yeah. And we talked about this and I was like, I'm scared that when you see those old ladies who are dressed way too young and like cougering in the clubs, I'm like, maybe they're thinking the same thing. They're like 50 and they're like, but I feel 25.
But I think we get it now. Like we feel that.
I get it, but I just don't want to look like that.
Yeah, we don't want to I think we're classier than that.
I would hope so. Yes, yes. Also, we're aging pretty well, I might say. I think we're good.
I ran out of face lotion. So when I look I know now like how dehydrated, like how much moisture my skin needs. And I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, I can see every
line.
It's not, moisture.
Yeah.
I need my serum, I need my cream, and I need my SPF. And all I've got right now is the SPF. So it's like
you got something. That's good. You're doing a good thing. It's so odd how different our skin is because I literally cannot moisturize my face.
Yeah, you told me.
I
can't put anything
I
on.
have not, like, except for makeup, and then when I wash it, that's it. But I literally cannot put anything on my face for the past, I think I've not put moisturizer on my face for more than 6 years now.
Oh my God, I can't. My face feels so tight, like it's gonna like...
It used to. Yeah. Mine used to as well. Like, it was like stretching when I'd smile, and then something just happened. My hormones were like, you know what? We're just gonna give you oily skin on your face and make you break out if you give us more. So... very, very weird.
I need to. I think I've said I'll try it with no moisturizer.
No. Because everyone's skin is different. I would not recommend either. Because you need the SPF. You need a lot of moisture on your skin. Like my skin on my body is like 2-3 times a day. But I don't know. The face is a different being. But, yeah. Anyway, happy birthday again.
Thank you.
And you said you don't feel any different. So
no, I think I mean, one year older, but still feel like I'm
20.
25. You know,
you're like not quite 20.
Not 25. I'm not quite 20. Yeah. No, like let's be realistic.
Yeah, 20 was not great. So during my little 2-3 day getaway to the small town of Saranda, guys, look it up. Go visit. It's amazing. In Albania, also known as the Maldives of Europe, for less than half the price. But anyway, we met like this lovely group of people, a bunch of people, but 2 of the people that we spent a lot of time with were this young guy and his cousin, a girl originally from Haiti, but Canadian. And, we hung out, we were like drinking by the beach during the day, going on little excursions, went to the club together. And it was really cute because, she's in her 20s and she's kind of like had her eye on this guy that she liked. And I was like, oh my God, to be 20 again and just like checking people out in the club. It was so cute. So I was like, you know what? Make sure that you get home safely. Like, call me, like, because,
mommy mode.
And she was like, you're such a mom. And she kept saying that. And I was like, yeah, because I'm a mom. Like, I'm a mom of like younger kids. And my friend Nabil, Captain Call Me Out, was like, yeah, she's fitting to be 43 years old. Of course she's a mom. Like, I was like, you didn't have to do all that.
Don't put all my business out there.
Yeah. And I
That's
was
not
like,
necessary.
you know what? Like, yeah, fine. It's fine. And she goes, oh my God, you're the same age as my mom.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh
And
my
you said
God.
she's what, like 21?
22. She's 22. Wow. Yeah. And I was like, I had my ass out in the club with someone who I'm the same age as her mom and someone who could very comfortably be my daughter. And I was like, oh.
But man, how nice is that to be like, if we had daughters and to be able to have that relationship where we could go out, have a girls' night out.
I'm gonna force it on my sons. I don't give a shit.
I think I need to force it on my kids
When
too.
Dante starts clubbing, I'm gonna be like, I'm coming.
We're going
I'm
together.
coming. I'm not gonna hang out with you at your table,
but
I'm gonna be around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be around. The first
Yeah,
couple of
I want to
times.
have that relationship with my boys too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't want to have
They don't
it.
want that, but it's gonna be like, mommy's here.
Mommy's here.
But I'll be your wingman.
Yeah,
but not really. Like,
I'm gonna be like, listen, you don't have to acknowledge me, but just know I'll be around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know.
And don't mind if mom's in the middle of the dance floor, like,
because it's gonna happen.
It's gonna be.
They're gonna be like, oh, old school moment, and we're gonna be like, ah! And he's going to want to disown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
man.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, it was a really just kind of a sobering moment to be like, wow, like, yeah, I do feel like I could totally relate. In my defense, she was very emotionally and socially mature for you know, a 22-year-old. So I didn't feel like there was this huge gap in conversation. But yeah, like I was like, wow, I feel like I'm 25 years old.
Right.
Maybe I'm immature for 43.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Hit me now. But yeah, so it was, yeah, kind of like just a moment to be like, wow, like it's kind of a full circle moment where I'm getting older and she's making me realize how old I am, but at the same time, like,
you don't feel that old.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, like I could never like go clubbing like this with my mom. And I'm like,
yeah.
Still cool.
Still got it.
Still got it when I realized dancing in heels for 4 hours in the club was possible. I was very happy to discover that.
I'm proud of you.
Good times. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have a little me trip.
I love that you got that. I think that's so important.
We've been talking about this for a while. Anyway,
finally did it. We were supposed to do it together, but that's okay.
I know. There's still time. It's the beginning of finally summer.
Yes.
So
I'm so happy.
Things are gonna happen. We're gonna be back on the balcony at some point as well.
Now that we have the mics, hopefully you won't have like weird like what was it that we used to hear?
There was a guy who was like snow blowing or something? Snow blowing. Leaf blowing, yeah. Yeah. There was a guy, and he always used to start exactly right when we start. He'd be like,
I don't hear him anymore. So maybe
no, I hear him.
Okay.
You don't hear him because the windows have been closed off. He's still out there like clockwork. So yeah, we gotta work with that. Okay. But yeah, anyway, here we are, we're back. It's very nice to be back again. Yeah. And I guess we'll jump
right into it. We're talking about something that I think you and I can really relate to, and I think you as the listener will also relate to it. I think this topic might be one of those topics that some people will be like, or really relate to it. But we want to address toxic positivity, which is this pressure to feel like you always have to be positive all of the time, even when everything inside of you is screaming otherwise.
Right.
And so I think in this episode, we want to kind of address what it is, what it looks like, how to maybe flip that toxic positivity to be more authentic positivity. And I think it's just something that we want to kind of really address because there's all of that good vibes culture.
Yeah, we're in that sort of, I was just thinking that too. Yeah, we're in this whole like section or phase. Yeah. That's a long phase of like, guys, be positive and think like, you know, good thoughts and manifest and Yeah. And so how do you tell the difference between that and then when it becomes toxic positivity?
Right. So I want to ask you, like, what does it feel like for you emotionally, physically, when you're like in it, when you're going through something, whether it's something related to your kids or your relationship or you personally going through something, like for you as Lisa, like what does it feel like when someone comes up to you and goes, oh, just stay positive? Like it could be worse. Like what does that how does that sit with you?
Um, it depends on the severity of the circumstance. Um, I I find it very hard to take outside, especially when it's not someone I really, really know and trust their judgment implicitly, um, to give me advice on how I should react to things concerning the kids. Like
Yeah.
that, I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah. Like, don't
So that's a
even.
no go. And when it comes to stuff that's like more to do with me, like, yeah, it depends. I think I'll give you a good example with like a lot of the stuff that we go through living in Germany, and how I have, and I admit it, been extremely negative about my experience here, and in some cases probably perpetuated, or not perpetuated, that's unfair, but exaggerated situations, because I've reacted to them in a way that sort of excuse me, makes me either recognize that negativity more, or like wallow in it for a
Yeah.
bit longer than I should. So I have definitely, I have a hand in that. And when someone in that kind of a situation says, no, you just have to think positive,
It's triggering.
it's triggering, especially if it doesn't come with a solution or potential way to apply positivity to it that comes with it. I'm less likely to be like, okay, fuck you.
Reactive, or yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it, regardless of actual positive or toxic positivity, the way it's delivered, whether it's delivered with some kind of like a solution, but also an acknowledgement of the circumstances of the person. I think that can make a big difference to how it's received.
Right.
I think, for me anyway. What about you? Have you come across also people who are positive all the time?
I don't think that that's
Inauthentic.
it's inauthentic.
It's annoying.
And here's why: because I've met people in my life that will say that they're positive all the time, and they'll even put the label on themselves, I'm a very positive person.
So liars.
But when you and I feed off of people's energy, right?
Yeah.
And so these positive people that I've been around, like when I'm around them, there's something very negative about them. So it's almost
drained.
like so it's like they're claiming to be positive, but because they're not being true to themselves, the energy that they're putting out there is completely
Something's
different.
not
Something's
right.
not
Or
right.
they're sucking all of the good energy out of the room.
Yeah.
Like they're literally like vampires.
Yeah.
Hashtag sinners. Go watch it.
I for the longest time always felt like, and this is where I mean, toxic positivity is a recent term that was coined in the early 2010s. Okay, so it's not like I even had the vocabulary to articulate what it was feeling. But even in, I mean, it shows up in all kinds of places. It shows up for women in relationships. It shows up for us in the corporate world, where it's like, if you show too much emotion in the corporate world, you're seen as being overly emotional and unprofessional.
You're invalidated.
And so you just got to put a face on it and be like, okay, pretend like everything's fine. My boss is an asshole, and I can't meet these deadlines and all that, but everything's good, everything's fine, and that it ultimately leads to burnout. You know what I mean? Because you're suppressing all of that.
Yeah.
And I think for us also, it shows up in motherhood. Like I had postpartum depression, and we've talked about this, and I was being told by close relatives, like family, where they'd be like, it could be worse. You have
which is true, but
it could be worse. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that what I'm feeling is not valid. Like I am feeling like shit. And the problem with toxic positivity is that signs of it is that you, first of all, use statements like, I'm fine, everything is fine, when someone asks you how you're doing. And then there's also a level of guilt that comes with feeling not fine, but also not expressing it. Yeah. Like you feel guilty for that.
Yeah,
because you should be grateful. You should be thankful. It could be worse.
Yeah. People are trying to have kids, and you're complaining about being overwhelmed by motherhood.
Yeah. But it's like there's so much that comes with becoming mothers. Like it's literally, and you change overnight. You become a whole, like this. There's a human that shoots out of you,
and you're never the same again. It's literally the first time in your entire life
that you are a mother,
thinking of another person before you, for the rest of your life.
And no one gives you that time to embrace those emotions. And you're immediately told, okay, you have this baby now, be grateful, be thankful. Why are you crying? Don't be crying. I mean, I've been told since I was a kid, don't cry, you're overly emotional. So even then it was like I always had to put on a strong face. So of course, once I had babies and I was overly emotional, I was told again, like suppress that shit.
Yeah, zip it up.
Zip it up. You're not the first woman to become a mother.
Yeah. I mean,
like, hello.
At least there's 8 billion special. Of us here. Yeah.
There's nothing special about you.
Walk it off.
Walk it off. Exactly. Shake it off. Walk it off. Just move on. So it's definitely something that has been something I've had to struggle with. And I think, and I'm not saying that we have to embrace the negativity either, but I think it's just being able to express it and then have that time to like be in that emotion, and then get to the point where you can be like, okay, I've felt it, I know what I put a label on it, and now I can say, okay, now how can I get past that? Right. At least feel the whole spectrum of emotions.
And I think that's part of also dealing with it. Like suppression is not dealing. It's not acknowledgement. It's not healing. It's not moving through the emotion. Part of that whole getting to the place where you can be positive about it in a healthy way is moving through it. Is acknowledging, okay, this is what I'm feeling now. It's not forever. It's, it hurts. It's not great, but like I'm moving through it, and sort of having someone who can understand, or not even understand, but listen and acknowledge that whilst you're in it is so helpful. But standing by you.
And I think that's, you said it, standing by you, because I think a lot of people are so uncomfortable with someone else's emotion, that rather than watching you go through that discomfort, they come in and they're going to come in and try and fix it. And there are some moments where you're going to be like, hey, I have a problem, can you help me fix it? But then there's going to be a lot of the times where you just want to be heard. You don't want a quick fix. You just want to be heard. You want to be seen. And I think that's what happens most of the time. The mistake that happens is that people feel like they need to fix you because they themselves don't know how to be in their own emotions. And they can't see you in that state.
Like, I don't know how to deal with her going through this. Like, what can I do to make this go away? And I think that's something that like is so great about therapy, is something that I think everyone should do. But honestly, it's someone who is just sitting there listening. And we literally have a society that pays people to do this because we don't have as much as we should. People who can sit down with us and just say, you know what, I'm just here to listen. There's a time in high school with my friend Sarah. She, I'd been reading this book where it was talking about listening and the importance of listening rather than speaking, which is a lesson I'm still learning. But I had just read this book, and she was going through something at the time. And I remember saying to myself before she and I had this conversation, being like, I'm going to be a listener. I'm not going to say anything throughout the whole conversation when someone comes to me, and see if that's more helpful or if that changes things. And we had this conversation. She told me it was 8th grade. I remember exactly where we were in the dorm. I don't remember the problem. But she went on for the better part of probably close to an hour speaking about this issue. And I remember actually like sitting on my hands, almost being like, shut the hell up, just listen.
Actively having to
just suppress the need to jump in or to comment, and just nodding and really just letting her feel heard. And when she got to a point where she paused, I said, I've heard you. Would you mind if I say something? Or can I say something? Or do you just kind of want to let it sit there like that? And she said, thank you so much for listening. And even at like the 8th grade level, it was so evident that like her being heard was already giving her the therapy she needed. That talk, that whole better part of an hour, for her she was like, actually, it's out. I feel better. Her tone was different. And I didn't do anything. I
Yeah.
just shut my ass up and listened. And listened. And at the end of it, I was like, don't mess it up by like over talking now at the end of it,
Yeah.
and just say, I've heard you and I believe that you're gonna do what's best.
Yeah.
And sort of also just giving her that autonomy and that encouragement that you have the tools to deal with this. I'm here to listen. I'm here to support you emotionally, but ultimately it's not something that is bigger than you are. And I remember thinking about that moment over and over again and be like, I'm totally going to do this all the time. Definitely never did it. At least not that well ever again.
What changed, do you think?
Just you forget. And, the need to be
The
and
fixer, the
yeah.
healer,
Or if someone goes through something that you've gone through, you're like, oh, but I can impart my experience and my knowledge.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we can have the exact same situation.
You're going to deal with it differently.
Exactly. And it might hit you differently as well.
Yeah.
Something for me that might be like, might be like, oh my God, like I don't know how to navigate this at all.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So yes, there's value in conversing and like fellowshipping and seeking support and even like advice, but like there's so much value, which is unfortunately not as recognized as much in just listening as well. So yeah, it's something I'm going to try and commit to, having said that now.
And that's one of the ways to combat, if we want to use that word, or just to deal with toxic positivity, is one of them is active listening. And that's really just like, don't step in, don't rush to solve the problem for them, just like wait, like follow their lead.
Yeah, not just to be like, change your mindset. Give me like a way forward. If that's the kind of feedback you're giving me, give me then like a roadmap, or at least an outline.
I might not take it, but
you know what? Give me a different perspective.
Exactly.
Give me something I can work with, as opposed to just like change how you're thinking. No shit. Like I know I need to change it, but like now I'm stuck in it and I need to sort of figure a way forward. Regardless of the type of person, the listening aspect is so important, because that's where it comes to the precursor to the give me a solution, which I mentioned, which is the acknowledgement. Like at least someone feels acknowledged.
And I think one of the key factors here also with
excuse me,
with dealing with it is that you want the other person to show empathy and not sympathy. So it's like where they don't come in and say, oh, that's so bad, I don't know how I would deal with that, I feel like I feel bad, sucks to be you kind of thing. But more like, oh man, like I hear you, I see you,
this is difficult,
like how can I support you?
I always think about therapists and I'm like, they must hear all kinds of crazy shit and they just have to
God bless you,
therapists, the good ones anyway. And like they have to kind of keep it together and keep a straight face. And also like,
which is why they need their own therapist.
Every therapist should have a therapist. And also because you're taking in so much energy, I feel like you need to dispatch, cleanse. But like it's just the fact that, like what you said, where they say they're going to hear an array of things. They're going to hear about like people going through divorces. They might have never been married. People going through, coming out to their parents. They might not be homosexual. People who are going through, identity trauma, or all kinds of things. They're going to hear from criminals who are like talking about crimes that they've committed, or
which they wouldn't be able to relate to either.
Which hopefully they can't relate to, and then on that level they still have to express, or at least maybe it's fabricated in that respect, but at least provide an environment where that person feels comfortable, safe environment. And we say that sort of like as a hashtag and a joke, like, oh, this is a safe environment, but it's such a key thing to feel that I can tell my friend this thing that is plaguing me. She's not going to, one, judge the situation or judge my response to it, or judge me for having this
and
difficulty.
Your character or your
exactly. That you feel like, what, at the end of the day, at the end of this conversation, she's still going to see me, how she saw me before, who she knows me to be, and just see the situation for what it is, simply that, a situation.
Right.
And that's so important to feel that way, which is also why I think a lot of people like gravitate towards an objective therapist, because you're like, you know what, when the session's over, I walk away, someone else will go in there and speak to the therapist and they move on to the next. And I think just having a friend that can make you feel like they know me, they understand like who I am at my core in terms of values, morals, all of these things, but I'm going through this, and they can actually hear me, acknowledge that, and maybe provide support where necessary, is it's a gift. It is rare, which is why a lot of people also pay for it. It is really rare, because even if you do have good friends, think about it. You can't go
to every
friend.
No.
And like you'll have some friends who you're like, I can talk to them about this, but I can't talk to them like about that. And
even with your own family members and your partner, like there's still going to be like you know, you have them in their own, what do you call it? Compartments, you know? So like you can go to this friend for this, you can go to this parent or this sibling for that, and you can go to your partner for that, but not everyone.
There's some people who believe you can go to your partner for everything.
No.
But
Can you?
Was so quick. I hadn't even gotten to the question mark.
I mean, like there's stuff for us, especially as women, like once we get into menopause.
Yeah,
or
I mean, I could go to him for it, but
I can go to him and like educate him.
Yeah,
is he gonna understand?
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
like it sucks.
Be like, exactly. He'll be like,
I'm glad I'm a man.
Sorry. And he'll be like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I don't want your pity.
I want pity. I want you to have the period. Exactly. I want you to have the perimenopause.
Or the lack of period and the hormone shit that comes with it, you know?
Speaking of which, how is the journey going? As someone who you can speak to about this, how is the perimenopause journey going? I can tell you, and this is something I can't, as we just spoke about, share with my partner, because he's like, why are you excited to get your period? I'm like, it's been irregular, for right after I had the baby, for that whole sort of year when it got back. But now it's been regular for like 6 months, which I'm happy about in one way, because I'm like, my balance has probably restored itself.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I'm like, I'm 43 in 2 days. I'm like, aren't I meant to be waiting for 12 missed periods in a row to be like, to be done with it? So this regular is not good.
You go through perimenopause for 7 to 10 years. And then it's not until you
I need you to say that again for the people in the back.
Perimenopause starts 7 to 10 years before you hit menopause. Menopause means that you have missed your period 12 consecutive months. That is when you are then in menopause. But perimenopause can start 7 to 10 years prior to that. So now that I think about it, first of all, my mother was in menopause at 43. She had her last baby at 42, and then that was it. Her period never came back, and the doctors were like, oh, you're in menopause.
Oh, bless.
So my gyno was like, yeah, you're most likely headed down that route, which means that perimenopause for me would have started probably in my late 30s.
Right.
So if I think about it, I've had night sweats since my late 30s.
I had night sweats the other day.
Yeah.
And I actually thought about it. I woke up and there was sweat on my forearm, and I was like, oh, is this it?
Yeah. So it's a crazy, crazy journey.
She called it a journey.
As you ask me about it. But what I think is so good for our generation is that people are talking about it.
Listen, I didn't hear the word perimenopause till I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
I only heard about it
till a year ago.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know.
I was like,
I only heard about it in my 40s because I went to Sydney and caught up with my friend.
Yeah.
And we were sitting, and it was the middle of, was it summertime? No, we went and it was getting cold, and it was kind of cold.
And she was having hot flashes.
Yeah, and we'd closed the balcony door. She's like, no, you need to open that up. I was like, what are you talking about? It's cold. She was like, girl, it's been a trip. Yeah. And then she told me about it, and I was like, wow, I learned something today.
Yeah.
So and then I was like, oh yeah, this could also possibly be me because I'm at that age.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. And that's a kind of conversation that like
you can't really have
you
with,
can have it,
you can
but you're
have
not
it,
gonna
but they're
get
just not gonna get it.
value
Yeah.
of feedback, and
Yeah.
they're just gonna be like, oh, they're talking about
They're
periods
just gonna be
again.
like, suck it up, or like I've talked to my love you mom. I've talked to her about it, and she'd be like, oh, I went through menopause, and that was it. Like nothing. Like basically, don't be dramatic about it. Don't like panic about it. Don't do any of that. Just
don't talk about it.
Just suck it up and deal with it.
And then when it's done, it's done.
But
yeah.
I love that we are surrounded by so many people, and especially on social media, they're talking about it. They're talking about it. Information and I think access to information. Sometimes, when you think Google is gonna give you that diagnosis and stuff like that, that's when I'm like, okay, like
don't WebMD.
No, don't WebMD that shit. But when you want, but at the same time, like you do get access to information, and you can go into that situation saying, okay, I'm not going into it blindly, and I'm more prepared. But so social media has been such a great tool for that. But that, in regards to our theme today, social media is, I think, one of the reasons that toxic positivity has really like taken that term, and
such a double-edged sword.
And it's just like everything looks so perfect and polished and curated on Instagram, that you start to think, oh my god, like
highlight reel.
Everything
and
is,
you forget, like, and it's crazy because like on Instagram, when people like are doing a like an endorsement or like an advertisement for a specific thing, they're meant to actually like say ad, or this is sponsored, blah blah blah. They're meant to tell you, I'm talking about this, but I was paid to do it.
Not everyone does that.
Not everyone does that. Because some people are doing it and they weren't paid, and they're just
but a lot of them will say, I'm not being paid to say this.
They'll say, I actually believe in this. But like the fact that it requires you to say that when it's advertising, kind of I'm like, I see that you guys are trying to take a step in the right direction, but I'm like, but you stopped, because everything is an advertisement ultimately. If you're an influencer, especially like a really huge influencer, anything you wear, that is the power of the influence. That's literally why you're called an influencer, because what you wear, talk about, sleep on, how you do your hair, dress, speak, all of these things have a power to influence people to act or purchase or move in a certain way. And so like the fact that they're like, yeah, but if it's like a paid advertisement, then you should like be honest about it. I'm like, imagine if they had that same policy for like curated content. So be like, you have to be like hashtag massive filter, hashtag Photoshop, you know what I mean?
Hashtag
and like,
positive vibes, but not really positive vibes.
Hashtag kind of totally looking like I'm killing it, but in
I'm
the background,
dying inside,
going through a divorce and dying inside and overwhelmed with life. Like,
and I think that's what they need to, and that they need to keep it real on Instagram.
It can never be. Then it would just be life.
But I respect, there are some people that I am following, and I've been very good now at unfollowing people that just do not do it for me.
You've weeded out
I've weeded out like the fake nonsense bullshit, because it really is unhealthy. Like if you think about it, it's like we spend a lot of time on our phones, on social media, on the gram, on what, like,
and even when it's not real,
it still affects
your brain is still gonna be like, damn, I'm here on the couch and this mom of 5 is right now currently in the gym. Like my life is shit. And even though okay, one, she's probably just taken this video and it's like 3 seconds of content. It's so hard to navigate. It's so hard to be able to like regulate the fact that you're like, this is information that I'm taking. And in that respect, I would say that's where speaking to yourself about positivity can become useful, where you can be like, you know what? She's not trying to hate on me right now. She's just posting something as motivation, and I can take the positivity out of it. You know what? That's great that she's doing that. And it's something that I can save and maybe think about doing that workout later. Or, I can use that as a motivator when I'm feeling like I don't have energy to do something. But it's really hard with the way information is presented to us, because you don't get the full picture. You don't get the full story. You don't get the conversation. And you likely get a soundbite of someone being like, do the right thing, or like, what's his name? David Goggins, who's like, you're fucking weak. You're a loser. I was fat. I changed my life around. I run 15 marathons a week. You can do it too. No excuses. Like, that works for some people, but I'm like, is that sustainable? And at what cost? And like, there's also an element of toxicity there.
Yeah.
So I think the hardest part is trying to navigate between what is toxic positivity and what is positivity, and how you can be like, yes, this I can take something helpful out of this. I don't need to hear.
Yeah.
More power to you, but not for me.
And in doing that, I think you'd also have to then look at why, for example, is that something that you see? Why would it be a trigger for you? Like, so that woman who's got 5 kids and is exercising, like, I think if we can reframe it and see it more as, oh, this bitch is, making me feel like, figure out why that is a trigger for you. And I think trigger anyway.
Literally what I say when I see the person I'm thinking of.
It has such a negative connotation to it. Like, I feel like we need a better word for it, because I think ultimately, if you can look at a trigger, and we need to find a different word for it.
Yeah.
A trigger that it literally makes you look inward and say, okay, why does this bother me? Like, how can I label this emotion?
Yeah.
And how can I then turn it around so that it doesn't trigger me later the next time I see it? So at least it gives you a chance to,
it's an opportunity to
learn
self-explore
and
heal and grow.
And heal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's possibly the best way to, even if it's negative or toxic, to take something and be like, all right, well, how am I gonna like use its powers for good? Ultimately.
I hate being told you'll be fine, and I hate myself when I say I'm fine.
Because I try not to use that word.
Clearly, I'm not.
Unless I'm describing a man, he's fine.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no.
And I think that should already be like an indicator right there. Like, if you hear someone say I'm fine, I think that should already be like okay, no, you're not fine. Like, tell me more.
Yeah, because
like,
fine is just,
it's such
except in Germany.
Oh yeah.
In Germany, when someone says, we say, how was it? It was very fine.
Yeah.
That means it was amazing. I realized that only like a few months ago, by the way.
But it's also because they don't want you to dig deeper. Like, they want to keep it at surface level.
Yeah, they're just like, just take it.
Just take it and then be done with it.
Yeah,
that's more like, that's a very cultural thing. Whereas we're going to be like, fine, like, was something wrong with it? Like, what happened? Did something happen to you? Like, tell me more.
Like, I don't only want to be fine. I don't want to be just
fine.
Yeah.
Fine to me is it's a very blah word.
Yeah. And when friends of mine are like, oh, fine. Like, when you said it, I'm like,
yeah.
What's going on? Or I'll text you, I'll be like, tell me what's going on. Because like, I want to make sure that I'm providing you with that environment.
Which you do.
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, she don't take it all the time. Take the opportunity all the time. But you've gotten much better at that.
So much better. Come on.
And I'm so excited that we have dinner coming up this weekend. And I'm going to sit next to you so we can actually talk. I know all your friends and your array of throng of fans are going to be around. But I'm going to sit next to you so we can actually catch up, because we never have enough time to actually catch up.
So this will be interesting, because it'll be a mix of people who don't speak English and people who don't speak German. And I was like,
that's perfect, because that already means I'm not going to talk to half the people. Easier.
But no, it should be interesting. But this is one of the first times where it's actually the first year that I did not wait for someone to say, what are we doing for your birthday? Like, I planned.
We just have a moment.
I planned it and I said, this is where but it's very like, it's still, as I'm saying it, but it still makes me like,
I can see,
like, uncomfortable inside, because I've always been weird about my birthdays. This is off topic. Been weird about my birthdays. Like, I don't like forcing anyone to celebrate me, to feel like they have to come somewhere and have to come somewhere on behalf of me.
That's the people pleasing.
Very much like happy to be on the wall, like just like a, just
It's my birthday, but I'm gonna hang out over here on this side.
And I've always waited for someone to message me and be like, what are we doing for your birthday? And it's only then do I feel like, oh, someone has shown an interest. Okay. And I'll always be like, oh, I don't know, and I'll wait for them to be like, okay, well, let's do
dinner,
this, that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can kind of understand that hesitation too, because there's nothing worse than planning something and people being like, can't make it, and being like, oh my God, I invited 30 people and nobody RSVP'd.
Like nobody shows up. It's so bad, like that would be the same time you gotta like love yourself and be okay with yourself, but it's hard. It's hard. It's a hit to the ego.
It can be. Yeah. Birthdays are weird like
They're weird like
we've attached such meaning to them that like if it doesn't sort of reach whatever our expectation is, it's like the worst day ever.
It's the worst day ever.
Yeah. Potentially the worst day ever.
Yeah. So but anyway,
but you're having a good day today. We're recording. The sun is shining.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting meeting that hopefully we will be talking to you guys about very soon at a later date.
Yes.
Things are cooking. And then we have dinner on the weekend.
Yeah. So I'm excited. But I wanted to see like I found this image that I shared with you of like statements for toxic positivity and like what the authentic positivity would look like. Should we read those?
I think so because I think especially with the statements of the toxicity, I would say 90% plus of people have heard this, and I think maybe like, I don't like the way this comes off, but might not, or have said it but not necessarily know how can I make this more of a helpful or less toxic statement. So I think it's really good.
So I think if you can look at these statements as a few ways to communicate, not just like, you can feel free to like, if you hear someone talking to you in a way, like you have the right to tell them, I don't like when you use those statements. This is what I would prefer. And this is also for you to learn how to communicate with others and also how to communicate with yourself. Like you don't have to be okay 100% of the time.
Or to sit there and say, I'm fine.
I'm
fine.
Like,
there's a better way.
There's a better way to, exactly. So here's just a few things. So I'll say the toxic positivity statement and then I'll say the authentic positivity.
I'm going to say it to you. Okay, you say it, the toxic one. I'm going to say it to you.
Okay.
And then you say it back to me like you're responding to me.
Okay, so you want to read?
Yeah. So I'm going to read it, and then you'd be like, oh, a better way would be to tell me that. Okay.
But I have to read it. I didn't memorize
No, I'll pass the phone back to you. Okay, ready? Good vibes only.
Be like, fuck you, first of all.
First of all.
Can we say that?
All my friends with someone that says good vibes
only. Oh my God. And keep in mind that some of these statements you wouldn't word them exactly this way. They sound very like, textbook, but just to give you an idea.
There would be someone who would say it.
It's okay to feel a different range of emotions. It's normal.
That's a really good response. Even just hearing you say that is already like so cathartic because you never hear someone say that.
No.
That it's okay to feel all of the things.
No.
It could be a lot worse.
I hate that one.
I say this one a lot.
I've gotten that so many times.
I've
gotten that so many times. I've gotten, I would shut up because my situation's worse than yours.
No!
Yes, I've gotten that.
Okay, so blah, blah, blah. I just said my problem to you.
That must be really hard. I'm here to listen.
Toxic. You should just look for the good in this. I hear this all the time. Honestly, and I actually fired a therapist for like years ago for saying stuff like that. You should look for the good in this, which it's like double-edged. Like, yes, you should look for the good in stuff, but in the midst of the thing, might not be the best thing.
There's like processes. First, it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And
let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. And then once you are out of it, then we can look for the good. We can look for the good in that situation.
And I think what you said before is so poignant too, because you said, all right, be in it and question why something is triggering you or making you feel a certain way. That ultimately is a difficult process, but it is ultimately looking for the good.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, there is hopefully a healing or a realization that comes from that. But there's a way to say that without sort of making people be like, skip over to the end.
And again, like, we're not here to tell you stay negative all the time. We're just telling you there is a process.
Yeah.
There is like literally a spectrum. Like if you think of here you are on this end and you're feeling it, the feels, you have to go through different steps to be able to get to the point where you can say, not just I'm fine, but I'm good.
I'm good.
I got this.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah.
You just said you should just look for the good in this. Okay. Yeah. So I'm here to support you through the situation, whatever happens, whatever you decide.
Negativity won't help you. Sometimes it does, though. Sometimes.
I hear that too.
I feel like negativity has been misdefined sometimes. There's a lot of behaviors and responses that are couched under negativity.
Yeah.
But yeah, negativity won't help you.
Okay. It's important to have a release when you need it. It's there. Anything I can do to make this easier for you. So I'm acknowledging that you're having a moment. And I'm also then telling you there's nothing wrong with that. Now, how can I help you? How can I support you?
What I like too in the beginning part of that is the need for a release.
Yeah.
That if I'm venting to you, if I'm coming to you with a bad feeling or a bad experience and I'm letting it out, there's a need for that part of the process to take place.
100%.
It's so important that that's recognized in the response. Yeah. Even when you're being negative, you know it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're like, I know I sound like a bitch, but blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you don't want someone to be like, yes, you're being a bitch. Get over it. You know?
Get over it. Yes.
Yeah, that should be on
That should be on here too.
Walk it off. But yeah, like, and you want someone to be like, yeah, I understand the need to have a release, because that's what it is, really. I'm just venting. I'm not going into the eye of the storm to like fight back. I'm coming to you because I'm letting out that frustration. Yeah. And it's coming out as negativity because I'm transferring that negative energy out of my body.
We don't need to tell you how bad that is. Like holding all those emotions in, like that just it wreaks havoc on your body, on your emotional, mental health. I mean, it leads to digestive issues. It leads to cardiovascular issues. Like, don't hold on to that negativity. Like, you literally need to get it out. Like, this one, we'll talk about this one.
We'll talk about this one. Things happen for a reason. Oh, even saying it. Oh, I feel like washing my mouth out.
Sometimes bad things happen. How can I help? So here's my take on it. And you might have a different, because I use this one a lot, especially in the last couple of years. I've used it a lot, like with issues that I've had with friendships or whatever. I feel like that statement is not so bad as long as, and again, we go through, like, you've acknowledged, you've dealt with it, and now it's like, what is it that I'm going to learn from that?
Right,
like,
right.
I still believe that there is a reason for something to happen.
And this statement can come at the end.
Yeah, it can come at the end, but it can't come at the very beginning when you're like in it and you're like struggling and someone's trying to tell you, well, everything happens for a reason. Like right now, I can't see what that reason is.
And maybe I don't want to see it right now. I just want to feel what I'm feeling.
I don't have that time or the energy to learn from it in this moment. But I will learn from it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's where this statement kind of gets me, where it's like, okay, there is something to learn from everything. And that's how I would view that statement. But it's all about timing.
It's all about timing. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly with that. You cannot be open to receiving that message or any message of positivity when you're in it.
Yes.
And so you have to choose your time. You have to choose your method, your tone, all of these things, and read the room.
Yeah.
But honestly, one theme I've seen across a lot of these positive, non-toxic responses is there's an aspect of someone saying, how can I help?
Yeah.
Or I'm here.
I'm here.
So sort of providing a safe environment, but also like a nurturing environment.
Yeah.
Good.
Do you want to just pick, this is from a different image, and maybe we'll see if we can share these
You'll get over it. Yeah, we talked about this.
You'll get over it.
You'll get over it. That is the walk it off. I heard walk it off so many times, like with actual physical injuries also.
Just Walk it off.
Like broken elbow and
you
wrist.
and I were athletes.
With my wrist
like,
over here. Yeah.
I was volleyball. You were
Track, basketball,
Yeah.
volleyball,
Yeah.
soccer.
And it was like
year round.
You broke something, just walk
literally
it off.
the number of bones that I've broken, especially when I was breaking like subsequent bones after
Yeah.
I'd broken the first few.
Yeah.
Walk it off.
Oh my
Broken
God.
finger still playing basketball.
Oh my God.
Like when you have to have your engagement ring like sized differently because your finger is misshapen from walk it off toxic fucking trauma.
That's
It healed like this. Look at it, you can see it. I'm gonna show it to you.
I've never paid attention.
Look, so you see that? That's the normal one. Do you see how
Yeah.
it's like a straight finger? This one has like a bump here. So when I wear a ring, it like has to go like over this bump here because it's
I see it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that was a walk it off situation. I literally broke it and then like went to sleep that night and woke up the next day and I was like,
it doesn't feel right. Something's wrong.
Which goes to another lesson, which is trust your instinct sometimes. If something doesn't feel right,
something's up.
Also with like the information you're receiving, with the toxic positivity you're receiving, the advice. You'll get over it. All right, so what are you going to say to me? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Positivity.
It's hard, but I believe in you.
I would have gone like a bit further.
Yeah.
We would have been like, girl, you got this. And
it can be difficult. I'll use another one. There's one that it can be difficult to see the good in this situation, but we'll make sense of it when we can, kind of thing. Maybe.
Yeah, I like that. Acknowledgement again, but also like support because we is important.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of noise that you have in your head, in your brain, and I'm not talking about like schizophrenics. I'm talking about like generally you have, because like if you think about how much information you're taking in, your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your nose, everything is like receiving information. So your brain is working like 1,000,000 miles a minute to process all of this. So like some things might not necessarily get processed in the way that they should. And certainly even some things might get skewed in your processing because it's just been sort of filed away as a subconscious perspective or intake of something. And so I think with meditation, it is such a powerful tool for allowing you to acknowledge all of that noise. Because it doesn't say ignore everything, because meditation is hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, oh my God, I keep getting distracted. I keep thinking about like the laundry and like going here and like da-da-da, or the dog barking across the street. And all of those things are going to happen regardless. And it doesn't say ignore it. In fact, it says acknowledge it, move through it, and let it pass. Yeah. And so I think that's so in line with what we've talked about with like acknowledging triggers and dealing with a situation and even receiving advice and information. It's like you want it to be acknowledged. You don't want someone to say, suppress it, file it away. You want someone to sort of say, okay, that's happened. I see you. It's not the end of the world, but we are moving through it. We are acknowledging it. We're recognizing it. And we're going, the only way is through. The obstacle is the way. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so you are not circumventing, you're going through it knowing that you're moving forward and you're coming out on the other end. When you're going through a difficult situation, like, and you're triggered, to ask yourself, why is this triggering me? Why is this stupid girl on Instagram triggering me when she's just living her life? Like, why is that making me okay? Well, maybe it's because I feel like I'm not
living my best life.
Exactly. Okay. And why do I feel that? Okay. Well, what can I do to and it makes you ask these questions that then push you in the direction of an outcome that's positive. And so I think that process is so rewarding and important. I love that you pointed that out. Being able to practice this sort of like what I call making flowers grow from shit is a really good
flowers
grow from shit. Yeah.
I think you've said it so beautifully, and I think we can end
so beautifully with the
honestly,
word shit.
But still, like it just you brought it all together, and I think we can end it on that note. I think if there's anything like you can take away from this is that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to, you know, also be human and admit when you're not okay, and to really find those people that you can have a safe environment, a safe space where you can talk to them genuinely, honestly, openly, without judgment, without any, you know, criticism or anything like that, and just to kind of really be open and genuine and honest. And I think only then can you get to a level where you can really say, hey, I've got my shit, but here's what I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah, and get to a point where you can actually take and learn and grow.
Yeah.
And also on the flip side, being a person who can say, and even if you don't remember any of those sort of positive renditions of advice, just literally being able to say, I'm going to provide an avenue for this person to be listened to and be heard, can be so powerful. So if that's important, something that you try and see how it goes, I pretty much can confidently say it's going to be 100% success. You can't be wrong listening. So
if this episode resonated with you, please share it with somebody who you think needs to hear this. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, like we always say, because, you know, it helps us be seen more, and we really want to be able to, you know, get our
reach a wider audience.
Exactly. So
wider, not
wider. We have to check the subtitles.
I know,
make
sure the transcript gets that correct, because
on that note, we will see you here back again next week for another episode. Till then,
bye.
Bye.